an NBA Hall of Famer, a 9-time All-Star, one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history, one of the 10 greatest coaches in NBA history, won a championship with the Seattle Supersonics back in the late 70s. He also had a very difficult job in 1992, which he did well. He was coach of the Dream Team with the greatest athletes ever assembled in basketball history. And let's go right to our guest, Lenny Wilkens. How you doing, Lenny?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
So, are you out in the Seattle area right now?
Yeah. We make our home in the Seattle area. It's a little town called Medina, which is right on Lake Washington.
Lenny, you coached that 1992 Dream Team. How did you get that job? I mean, everybody must have wanted that job.
Well, I guess I don't. Chuck Daly called me and wanted me to work with him, and he was the head coach of the '92 team, and which eventually led to me being the head coach of the '96 team. But Chuck wanted me to be his assistant.
What was that experience like?
Well, it was a great experience. We, at that time, the previous teams hadn't done very well in the Olympics, and we had kind of slipped a little bit, the U.S., so these players wanted to show the world that they were the best because it was the first time that they allowed our pros to play. Throughout Europe, the guys on the various Olympic teams from the various countries had all been playing pro ball, and we were never allowed to. So it was the first time, and it was great. It was great. The guys were very professional. They wanted to show the world that they were the best, and it was an incredible experience.
Usually teams have like one player that's the leader they all look to. When you had that many stars, who was the leader on that team, or was there no leader?
Well, I think they all kind of stepped up, and certainly I would say that guys like Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and the rest of the guys, any of them could have been the leaders, but I think those guys probably set the tone a little bit. Charles Barkley.
How difficult was it getting all those egos to mesh, to be a team?
It wasn't hard at all. We talked to them. We told them what our goal was, what we were trying to accomplish, and we selected them because we felt that they could do it. And they all responded very positively. I mean, no, the egos were not in the way. We told them it's a short period of time, and it's a chance to show the world how good they are. And every guy stepped up. We had incredible practices. Our practices sometimes were better than the games.
Down in Miami, they've got some issues going on now. They're riding a 5-6 game losing streak. They're playing the Lakers tonight. What do you think's going on? Is it that there's only one basketball, or is the coach not controlling them right, or is there nothing you could do with those three guys?
Well, that's a difficult judgment to make because if you're not there, you're not at the practices, it's hard to say that this is the problem or that's the problem. Certainly, they're all outstanding players, and sometimes it takes a little time to come together. But to say that this is the problem or that's the problem, I don't know that you can do that unless you're there every day. I'm not there, so I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm not going to pass judgment that way.
Do you enjoy being on the outside looking in, or would you rather be in again?
Well, at times I'd like to be there, and at times I'm happy where I am. It's I always playoffs are very competitive, and that part I miss. The season, I don't miss that, But it's when it's in your blood, it's in your blood. I mean, I watch every game. I try and analyze games, and see, what would you do if you were there, things like that. And that's natural with a coach.
You were one of the 50 greatest players they announced in 1996 for the 50th anniversary of the NBA, and then you went down as one of the 10 greatest coaches. A lot of times, the great players make terrible coaches. What was different about you versus, say, the Bill Russells who coached and like the Ted Williams who just couldn't get it?
Yeah. Well, I was a point guard, and I think point guards have an advantage in that they know who wants the ball, they know who should have the ball, they know what will work, what we should be running, how to get people involved, things like that. And those are important things. The other thing that's important is making sure guys practice hard, that you accomplish something in practice. You're not just there to shoot around. So I think that being a point guard certainly helped me a lot because I understood that. But I enjoyed the game, and I tried to always see, how do you make a player better? The guy that I liked when I first started playing and coaching was Red Auerbach, because I always thought that he maximized his talent. He got the most out of his players, and I think that's what a coach has to do.
Now, is it easier for a guy who has the credibility of having been a star player as opposed to a guy who hasn't played in the league, or his last basketball, if he was lucky, may have been in college?
Well, that opens the door for you. But once you step through, the players are going to know if you know what you're talking about. They're going to watch. They'll be paying attention. Okay? You got their respect as soon as you step in. Now it's keeping it.
I'm one of those guys who can remember when you were a player back in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
What
you got good memory.
Well, I don't know about that, but that was a pretty good team that you were on. You joined them a couple years after they won the NBA, their only NBA championship, and you did make it to the finals against Boston. What was it like playing with Bob Pettit?
Oh, it was great because Bob was a great player. He set an example. He competed every night. He came to play, and I thought that, well, that's what a professional does. He comes ready every night. He tries to make his teammates better, and Bob certainly was that. And I enjoyed playing with him. And once he saw that I understood the game and knew the game, I never had to ask him to come set a screen. I mean, he was there right away because he knew that if I got open and they doubled, he'd get the ball back. So Bob was a smart player, but like I said, very much a professional.
And then the Hawks transitioned to the Zelmo Beatty era, and then Pogo Joe Caldwell. People talk about David Thompson being able to jump. Can you describe Joe Caldwell? I remember his first game with the Hawks. He went something like 12 out of 13 from the field. The only shot he missed was a rebound. Yeah. And the guy could jump out of Kiel Auditorium there in St. Louis.
And with such ease. I mean, we'd be running down, and we had a little signal, a little yell he used to give, and he'd take off, and I'd find him with a pass, and I mean, he'd go up off the ground so easy. This guy had incredible athleticism, and he could defend as well.
Speaking of athleticism, a guy who gets sort of lost in the shuffle of all this is Elgin Baylor. I mean, to me, he was the first truly athletic NBA star. I mean, he did things that Dr. J followed in his footsteps, and people know Dr. J and they know Michael Jordan. But Elgin Baylor could do things that people hadn't seen on a court.
Well, he was the first guy I saw change hands with the ball in midair, and he'd spin around and do things. And Elgin, it's just that they didn't televise as many games. You didn't see the highlights, the replays that you see today. Or else, they would be saying, wow, this guy was incredible. But he was. I mean, he was the guy that set the tone. All these other guys came after him, and yes, they were great players. But, anyone who saw him play knows that he was one of the best, and certainly very deserving of Hall of Fame and, top 50 player. I mean, there's no question in my mind.
You played with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You later coached them. What happened with Cleveland last summer with the LeBron James, basically the whole media circus, and now you got Carmelo Anthony saying, I will only play for the New York Knicks. Do you think that's going to destroy the NBA, or you think the league's going to step in and change it?
Well, the league has to be very careful about that. I mean, I just don't. It's not something, that I think is healthy for the league, because if all the top players start wanting to go to one place or two places, what happens to the rest of the teams? And certainly I think it would affect them in the long run. But I don't know what happened to Cleveland. As I said, I wasn't there. Certainly, when LeBron became a free agent, as the rules stand right now, he was entitled to go wherever he wanted to. Now, they went over the top a little bit in publicizing it, and having the hour-long show and that kind of stuff. But certainly I felt that the owner should have, he was a little ticked off. He had every right to be, but to come out and just blast the player and stuff like that. That's totally uncalled for, and that doesn't help him any. So, but the league certainly has to watch this. It's just something that certainly goes with, if you're a complete free agent, you can go where you want to. We had a rule there for a short period of time that if a free agent was signed by another team, they had to compensate the team. I always liked that one. I thought that was a pretty good rule, but I don't know where it went.
Now, in Chicago, we have a fairly decent point guard, Derrick Rose. I'd like to get your assessment of him.
I like him. I think he's outstanding. I think that, he can get to where he wants to on the court. He understands. He'll make his teammates better. I think sometimes when they isolate him, maybe a little too much, but he certainly is one of the top point guards in our league right now. This young man makes a difference. He makes his team better, and he finds the open man. I mean, he's unselfish. He'll give the ball up. So I think his future is huge, very bright.
Are you kind of surprised that Pat Riley hasn't stepped down and taken over the Heat yet? Because it seems like before he would step in if there was problems when he was in New York and other places, and I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet.
Well, year's not over.
Right about playoff time, you look for Pat to come out of the executive suite?
I have no idea.
Would you take the job? If Pat Riley called you and said, would you take over the Heat, would you do it?
I have no idea. I don't know.
You're too busy with your foundation.
Right.
What is it, the Lenny Wilkens Foundation?
Yes. We raise funds for, my main charity is the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic in Seattle, and which provides, health care and education to young people. And that's so important because so many people today don't have health care insurance, and it's very difficult. And, if you know anything about young people, if they're not feeling good or they're hungry or whatever, and they go to school, they're not going to learn. They're not going to learn. So it's incumbent upon us as adults to make sure that it's a positive attitude, that they feel good, that they're being challenged. I think young people are tomorrow's citizens, tomorrow's doctors, lawyers, judges, and so it's important that we make this, encourage them to achieve those things.
Now, when you were growing up in New York, did you say to yourself, when I grow up, I want to be a coach, a player, a doctor?
No, I was thinking as I got older, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I had a great history teacher who could make us all feel like we were right there when it was happening. And I thought, what a gift, to be able to teach young people, to get them to be positive about, their future, what they want to do. So I thought teaching was a great profession, and that was what I had in mind at first.
I see you're Irish. Did it kind of hurt that you never played for the Celtics? Because aren't they Ireland's team?
Well, they tried to get me. When the Hawks moved to Atlanta, we had a contract problem. And, we didn't have free agency. But I wouldn't sign the contract because it wasn't to my liking. And so they traded me to Seattle. And certainly Boston was interested. I knew that. And they wouldn't let me talk to Red, and they wouldn't make the deal. So.
Now, could a coach like Red Auerbach survive and thrive in this contemporary NBA?
Yeah, I think so. The coaches adjust. I think that all good coaches can coach in any era. It's like a great athlete can play in any era, given the same age, and he's in good shape. But it's relating to people. Now, if you can't relate to people, you're going to have a problem. I don't care who you are. But it's relating to people, and I think that Red could do that.
His only problem is he wouldn't be able to light up a Victory cigar nowadays.
Well, that might cause a problem.
A lot of people ask you who the greatest player was in the NBA or who you build a team around. I want to ask you, if you were to start a team, who would be your coach?
That's hard to say. We got a lot of, I think, great young coaches in the league, and certainly the veteran coaches have done tremendous jobs. I mean, you look at, Phil Jackson's done a great job, over the years. You look at Doc Rivers, he's done a great job. I mean, there are a lot of good coaches. It's just that if you don't have the talent, you're not going to win.
Yeah, it's tough to make that assessment. You know, if Phil's always had the superstar player, and I don't question his coaching ability at all, but you can't compare apples to oranges, and that's pretty.
Well, that's true enough. But still, when you have great players, you got to be able to get them to play.
Now, have you had great players who were reluctant to play?
No. I had a borderline player who thought he was better.
That's why they're borderline players,
right?
I see you were with Toronto from 2000 to 2003, and the Knicks from 2004 to 5. Were you real tight with Isaiah Thomas? That he wanted you wherever he went?
Isaiah Thomas. When I went to New York, we didn't always agree on everything, and that's why I was only there a year, because I did turn that team around. I got them to the playoffs, which they hadn't been. But we made a couple of trades I didn't like, and I thought that hurt us. And so the tenure there wasn't very long.
Now, is it important to the NBA that the Knickerbockers be a quality franchise?
I think all franchise should be quality. I don't see why the Knicks should be over somebody else. It's up to them to work hard, make good judgments, good decisions, acquire good players. Every franchise should be wanting to do that.
Because a lot of people are saying that the talent's so diluted that we need some contraction in the NBA to make it more competitive. Get rid of some of the teams like down in Memphis or Toronto,
New Orleans.
Well, I think right now 30 is a good number, but I think that good judgment should be made in selecting talent. And the thing, I don't begrudge any player making as much as he can, but I think sometimes general managers, owners have to be smarter about how much they're going to pay a guy, who they're signing. Some of these guys have made a lot of money, but they weren't great talents.
Not like our next guest we're going to have coming back, Sam Jones. You remember him?
Oh, wow. Hey, let me tell you. Then that guy could stop on a dime and make a jump shot, a bank shot from the side better than anybody. It was like a layup to him.
So you didn't enjoy guarding Sam Jones?
Hey, listen, no. He used to always talk to me. He'd say, I was a rookie, and of course with the Hawks at that time, they didn't have many plays for the guards. It was always for the big guys. And he'd say to me, like, when's your turn?
Sounds great. Thank you, Coach Wilkens. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Okay.
Good luck, and hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much, and give Sam my best, please.
We will.
All right.